Let's just jump right in because we're looking at what is shaping up to be an absolutely historic season for gaming. This explainer is counting down the top 10 most anticipated games of Q4 2026. And look, this isn't your standard run-of-the-mill holiday lineup. We're talking about a massive, industry-shaking quarter. It is packed with long-awaited sequels, cult classic revivals, and just absolute heavyweight blockbusters. We've dug through the data, the hype cycles, and the source reports, and we've got the definitive countdown ready for you. So let's get into it. But before we hit the actual list, I want you to keep a specific question in the back of your mind. What happens to a release calendar when a meteor hits? Because as we climb up to that #1 spot, you're going to see some of the biggest developers on the planet laying down their absolute best cards. But hovering over this entire quarter is one colossal release, a true meteor. We will get to exactly what that means and what that game actually is at the climax of this explainer. So, Section 1, Cult Comebacks and Charm. These are the titles bringing weirdness and nostalgia to Q4. Kicking things off at number 10, we are taking an immediate, sharp left turn into a weird, fluorescent nightmare box world. And honestly, if you know that description, you probably already know exactly what game we're talking about here. Yep, it's Control Resonant. Remedy heading back to the incredibly strange, mind-bending universe of Control is more than enough to grab our attention. If Resonant manages to expand that already deeply fascinating universe in a meaningful way, we are absolutely looking at one of Q4's biggest potential critical darlings. I mean, this game literally has everyone on YouTube is making 40-minute lore videos by day 2 energy. It's a giant puzzle box, and the anticipation to crack it open is building incredibly fast. Okay, let's dive into this next one. Coming in at number 9, we're shifting the tone completely away from fluorescent nightmares to something, well, a whole lot more comforting, especially for Nintendo players who have been waiting so patiently for years. Our number 9 spot is best described as a perfect blend of cozy mystery, charm, and brain-teasing nonsense in a top hat. We are, of course, talking about Professor Layton and the new world of Steam. I mean, Layton coming back? That is absolute catnip for puzzle fans. Now, it might not be the loudest or the most explosive release of the quarter, sure, but the sheer, unwavering dedication of its longtime fan base makes it undeniably one of the most highly anticipated. And you know, the contrast here is just hilarious, because on one hand, we've got the cozy, intellectual mystery of Professor Layton. But then, zooming right into our number 8 spot, we have the absolute, unfiltered, dino-hunting chaos of Turok Origins. This right here perfectly captures the wild, whiplash-inducing jump in genres that Q4 2026 is handing us. You are quite literally going from sipping tea and solving gentle brain teasers to sprinting for your life from a T-Rex. So yeah, number 8 is the fully revived Turok Origins. Look, bringing back a name like Turok means the developers have a massive mountain to climb to prove themselves. But weirdly, that just makes it even more exciting. If this studio can actually nail that old-school dino-hunting chaos while somehow effectively modernizing the combat and the scale of the world, this could easily be one of Q4's biggest comeback stories. There's a really palpable curiosity out there right now. Is this just going to be a brief, fun nostalgia snack for older gamers? Or are we looking at a massive, full-course resurrection of the entire franchise? All right, picking up the pace here, we're moving into Section 2, Heavyweight Action and Atmosphere. These are your mid-tier juggernauts. Let's rapidly summarize numbers 7 and 6. At number 7, we've got Metro 2039, which is basically promising atmospheric misery of the absolute highest quality. And trust me, we mean that as a massive compliment. It's going to be a huge magnet for players who just want a heavier, moodier blockbuster right in the middle of all that holiday cheer. And sitting right next to it at number 6 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. I mean, a new Modern Warfare is just an annual gravitational force. Whether you love it or hate it, it is inevitably going to jump scare you in every showcase, totally dominate the industry's attention, and flood your group chats with that classic, "Hey, you hopping on tonight" message. It's unavoidable. And that brings us to the halfway point of our countdown, number 5. Honestly, this entry feels like a match made in heaven. It takes the phenomenal modern pedigree of IO Interactive, the studio behind the brilliant recent Hitman trilogy, and literally just hands them the keys to the ultimate spy sandbox. 007 First Light promises exactly what we all want from an IO Interactive James Bond game. We're talking incredibly slick stealth mechanics, massive globe-trotting set pieces, and, let's be real, at least one mission where everyone immediately tries to do the dumbest possible thing in a tuxedo. The sheer potential here for both creative problem solving and, frankly, highly creative disasters is going to make this game an absolute joy to watch and play. Let's move on and see how this builds as we enter Section 3, the franchise crown jewels. This is where Xbox and Capcom bring the heat. At number 4, we are looking at one of Xbox's undeniable crown jewels. And the actual magic of this particular title is that it appeals heavily to people who normally don't care at all about this genre, like whatsoever, simply because of the sheer jaw-dropping visual spectacle it provides. Forza Horizon 6 easily earns the number 4 spot because, well, it arrives like a convertible filled with fireworks. It is explosive, it's joyous, and it is vibrantly colorful. If this lands right in the Q4 orbit, it is a massive, massive deal for the Xbox ecosystem. Even gamers who couldn't care less about car tuning or racing mechanics tend to lean over the fence, take one look at the screen, and just admit, okay, yeah, that does look absurdly pretty. Coming in hot at number 3 is our next Xbox heavyweight, but listen, unlike the vibrant, super upbeat festival atmosphere of Forza, this one is trading entirely on a gritty, emotional, and frankly massive narrative punch. We're talking about Gears of War E-Day, and what makes this so intensely anticipated isn't just the fact that, hey, it's a new Gears game, it's the setting itself. E-Day is a return to one of the most critical, foundational moments in the franchise's entire lore. That gives it so much more narrative weight than just your standard run-of-the-mill sequel. For Xbox fans, this heavyweight combination of deep nostalgia and blockbuster curiosity makes it a true headline act for the quarter. Now, what's really interesting about our number 2 spot is that it belongs to a studio operating on a completely different level right now, like a developer that simply cannot seem to miss. Capcom has been on an absolutely feral hot streak lately. Because of that momentum, Resident Evil Requiem instantly becomes one of the biggest events of the year. The anticipation surrounding this is just massive, completely regardless of what direction the game actually takes. Whether it leans into pure, terrifying survival horror, or pivots hard to action horror, or reveals itself as some sort of wild, lab-grown mutant hybrid of both. Fans are just desperate to see it. This is exactly the kind of release that turns every single frame of a trailer into a full-blown forensic investigation by the community. Okay, pause for a second. Take a breath. We've reached Section 4. The meteor arrives, the undeniable center of gravity for the entire industry. For the number 1 spot, let's be totally clear. There is absolutely no contest. None. Zero. It's Grand Theft Auto 6. Look, the reports and the hype are crystal clear on this. This isn't just the most anticipated game of Q4 2026. It is arguably the most anticipated entertainment release on the planet. Full stop. Period. It eclipses huge movie premieres. It eclipses massive music drops. It is a global cultural event. And this brilliantly illustrates that question we asked right at the start. What exactly is the meteor? Well, it's a release large enough to bend the calendar around itself like it has its own gravity field. If GTA 6 lands in November, as the current reports strongly suggest, it physically dictates the actions of every other studio out there. No one, and I mean no one, wants to release right next to the meteor. It just completely warps the entire industry's release strategy. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question. Because of this meteor, the entire quarter effectively has a giant, flashing neon asterisk next to it that just says, yes, but GTA is here. Every single amazing game we just talked about, from the cozy charm of Professor Layton, to the atmospheric dread of Metro, to the gorgeous vistas of Forza, all of them have to share oxygen with Grand Theft Auto 6. So looking at this historic, jam-packed lineup, what will you actually play first? Do you dive straight, head first, into the meteor? Or do you carve out some time for the cult classics first? Really think about it, because Q4 2026 is going to be a quarter we talk about for a very, very long time. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.